Hello, my friends. My name is Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to provide you with context in the war in Ukraine. It is Wednesday, November 6, 2024, and this is your news for today. We're going to start very briefly with this, and then we'll come back to it. 270 electoral college votes are necessary to win the U.S. presidential election. Trump, at this point, has at least 277. I've seen 280 in another analysis, but he's clearly beaten Kamala Harris, which is not what most people who support Ukraine were hoping for or looking for, and there's reasons for that, and we'll get into that in just a little bit. Let's look at what's actually going on in Ukraine before we talk about the U.S. presidential election. Okay, 1,250 Russians off the battlefield. That's pretty low for recent months. For between September and October, that's actually lower than the average of the second lowest month. Now, it is 700 and I think 10 is the average daily casualty rate for Russians throughout the entire war. So it's not quite double that, but that's where we are today. 6 tanks off the battlefield, 11 armored fighting vehicles, 20 artillery systems, 55 vehicles, and fuel tanks. Now, Andrew Perpetua didn't have his list, and there's a reason for that, and I'll talk about it in just a moment. Overnight, Russia launched 63 Shahed drones, of which 58 were shot down, 38 by regular defense, 20 by electronic warfare. But more interestingly is where those Shahed drones were going. 38 out of the 63 were shot down directly, and the others by air defense, but they were going at 9 different regions across Ukraine. Again, it's a harassment exercise throughout all of Ukraine to wear down the population. Andrew Perpetua, as I said, didn't have his list out. He was almost done. He said, I might take the day off, to be honest. I'm not sure I can do it today, but maybe in a few hours I'll change my mind. Have yesterday like 99% done, but not finished. But I understand a lot of people are feeling, whoa, what just happened? And there is a whoa, what just happened effect. Russia is likely preparing to launch an unprecedented missile and drone assault on Ukraine, an expert revealed. This is the Euromaidan press. Now, this is speculative about what's about to happen in the future. It has not happened yet, but it seems pretty likely. Ukrainian defenses are on high alert. Such an attack could target key infrastructure, pressing Ukraine's resilience to its limits. I think that's very fair. In fact, here's a Russian state TV host or a commentator talking about just that. Russia State TV has admitted Russia deliberately bombs Ukrainian energy in order to provoke a humanitarian catastrophe. Listen to this. Power plants and power lines must be destroyed. Our army is doing this now. These targets are being attacked. Blinken said that Russia uses winter as a weapon. This is our traditional weapon. Yeah, that's very true. Our General Frost is coming, or General Winter, it's sometimes called. This is one of the main factors of Russia's victory. That's why we don't care about complaints that civilians will be left without electricity, without water, without heat. Yep, that's how they interpret it. That's how they understand it. Okay, meanwhile, let's look at what's going on the battlefield. This is the ISW. Russian forces recently advanced southeast of Kupiansk, northwest of Crimea, in Chasiv Yar near Toretsk, southeast of Pokrovsk, northeast of Kharkov, near Voldahar, and north of Robotny. Like, they're just pressing the attack. Now, they're pressing the attack, and this is a Russian commander saying, like, we have nothing. We have no winter clothes, and that sort of thing. A rear commander from the second-tier elite of Putin's regime, part of the Bars 20 unit, is asking for help with warm clothing for 170 boys who are freezing on the front line. They're talking about winter. Cuts both ways, especially when you don't actually supply them with what they need. Okay, let's hear what he has to say. I'm a rear officer for Bars 20. Call sign Vishna. Today, we need warm clothes, that is, winter sets, coats and trousers. Army gave us nothing. I have 170 people on the contact line. We received nothing from the Army. They just say that supplies are low. Okay, but you have that Army there fighting, and so you need to supply them. But again, they're going to be used up anyway pretty quickly. Okay, now shifting gears, this morning drones attacked Russia's Dagestan region, located more than 1,000 kilometers from Ukraine. Now, this is huge. Local media reported that the main base of the Russian Navy's Caspian flotilla came under attack. They're not even just attacking in the Black Sea now. It's the Caspian Sea. And look, they're hitting something. Look at that. Okay, this is Anton Gurashenko. Russia's Telegram channels reported that the drone in Kaspiysk attacked on the main base of the Caspian flotilla of the Russian Navy. One of the drones struck near a warship. Now, there are mixed reports yet, and it's hard to see exactly what has happened, but this is where they struck. Let's look at this. Let's pan out. This is Ukraine. This is the Black Sea where everything was, and they were striking here and there. This is where they struck. Iran is down here. I mean, like, they struck on the Caspian Sea. This is absolutely incredible. This morning, Ukrainian attack drones successfully struck Russian Caspian Sea flotilla in the port of Kaspiysk, over 1,000 kilometers behind the front line. Seen here, a Ukrainian drone flies low over the harbor and slams into a row of docked warships. And I'm going to show you like 3 seconds of the drone flying towards it. There you go. And I'll stop it right there. For YouTube's censors, I'm not doing anything like that. Just amazing that they were able to do this. Okay, let's turn our attention to the political news. This is the big news of the day. During a late night speech, Donald Trump stated his intention to put an end to wars around the world. Well, this was his acceptance speech. And he didn't mention Ukraine by name, but they said he will start a war. I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars, he said. Okay. The real important thing is, how do you plan to do that? And we'll see what's going on. In the meantime, Zelensky struck just the right tone. Zelensky congratulated real Donald Trump on his impressive victory. Quote, "I appreciate President Trump's commitment to the peace through strength approach in global affairs. This is exactly the principle that can practically bring just peace in Ukraine closer. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to put it in action together. We look forward to an era of strong United States of America under President Trump's decisive leadership. We will rely on continued strong bipartisan support for Ukraine in the United States." Okay, that's a good tone to strike. I know some of you are thinking, like, yeah, he doesn't really believe that. Okay, let's say it's still diplomatically, the right tone to strike. Now, I know some of you were very surprised by the results last night. I had this nagging feeling that it was going this direction, but that's because I listen to different sources and read different sources maybe than you do, and so I'm trying to filter and factor in and trying to understand like who's in reality. And so one of the things that happened, no, by the way, I didn't vote for Trump. I didn't vote for Harris. I voted for a third party. And in my state, it won't matter. My state went 60-40 for Trump. Okay. So with that being said, you can't just discount things. So, for example, I pointed a number of times when we talked about polls to the prediction markets, and the prediction markets were reasonably accurate. And some were saying, well, Polymarket, it's being overwhelmed by people just trying to trick the Polymarket into saying something. No, these people were actually betting on this because they thought he was going to win. A user in the Polymarket platform placed an $18 million bet on Trump winning the election and won $29.4 million. That's not a bad return. Okay, Ukraine could have won in 2022 if Biden had let them. Very true statement. Now, a lot of people are disappointed with Biden, and in hindsight, you can see this, but like along the way, people were saying, Biden, he's so, well, he's not. Now, here's the thing. It's after the election, and if Biden really was just waiting until the election to then release the hounds and give Ukraine everything it needs, it should start happening anytime now. I don't think that that's going to happen. I just think Biden is reflexively prone to not escalate like that. That's his knee-jerk reaction. Okay. Ukraine could have won in 2022 if Biden had let them. So many lives could have been spared. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I guess that is possible. At least by 2023, it could have been done. I mean, like they could have ended it a lot sooner if they were willing to allow the potential escalation. But Jake Sullivan is like, I mean, he's culprit number one in not allowing things to escalate. Now, Ukraine does have one thing that they can celebrate, and that is in 2.5 months, Jake Sullivan will be gone as well. According to The Hill, at 3:30 in the morning, Trump is at 280. It doesn't matter what the numbers are, 276, 280, whatever. Once you pass 270, he's won. And we'll talk more about that in 3 big stories tonight. Marcus Drissis says, I can't take another 4 years of policy papers, op-eds, and panel discussions about European strategic autonomy. I'm begging European governments to just buy tanks, add assembly lines, build factories, order ammunition, get more drones, fly more planes, make sure ships can sail. That's right. They just need to do it. And Europe is going to have to take more of the burden, it seems, on themselves. I don't know what Trump is going to do. From his formal statements, it does not appear that it's better for Ukraine than Harris. I stand by that. I also stand by saying we don't know what Trump is going to do, and he's a wild card, and it's yet to be determined what will happen. Biden still has time to let Ukraine win, but he won't do it, unfortunately. I think that's very fair. Jane Kiev says the Europeans that refuse to spend 2% of GDP to help Ukrainians stop a coalition of Russia, Iran, North Korea, and China will now have to spend 30% of GDP fighting this coalition themselves. World War II Britain defense expenditure was 40%. Well, that could possibly happen if Trump continues the same kind of appeasement policy that Biden had. And I don't know what Trump will do. We just don't know. Trump is just very hard to predict. Okay, last couple things. Battle of drones. I just love watching drones hit drones. I don't know why. I mean, that's just awesome to watch. And finally, my friends, I still stand with Ukraine. You still stand with Ukraine. Hopefully, we can get this administration to also stand with Ukraine. Thank you for your time. By the way, tonight I'll be doing a live stream at 6 p.m. I'll answer every question you possibly can throw at me about what I see coming down the pike. That is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in the United States. And this is open to everyone. So thank you for your time. Thank you for the likes and the shares and the subscribes. And thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.